Welcome to the Digital Customer Experience Podcast by Kiosk. I'm Daniel Paul, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories, insights, and expert opinions from the ever-evolving world of digital customer experience. Today, we have an awesome guest, Ellen Melin Lundström. She is the head of e-commerce at Telia, where she spearheads online shopping initiatives. Prior to Telia, she contributed her experience at Telenor, engaging in various digital roles, and is recognized for innovative concepts like virtual store, facilitating shopping via video calls. Ellen is not just a leader, but a proficient team builder. With a rich background that involves working in esteemed locations such as New York, her breadth of knowledge spans from online shopping, digital marketing, and beyond. Today, she is here to share her invaluable experience with us. Welcome to the show, Ellen.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Awesome. So, because I was thinking, like, you've worked in New York and you've worked in Stockholm. So, are there any cultural differences or shock that you had when you were actually working in New York?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the first one that was the most obvious to me was that I was definitely the early bird. I think that working in Scandinavian countries, we tend to show up at the office 8:30 sharp. And when I did that in the New York office, I was turning on the lights. There was no one else there, and I had the first hour to myself. So that was definitely a difference. Then I think another thing that I really appreciated was that they had lots of snacks in that office.
Ooh.
So there were Friday bagels, there were a lot of these very nice things that I really appreciated. And then finally, I think that Americans, they are very nice and they are very open and friendly. And that is something that was a difference, because I think that the Scandinavian culture is a little bit, might be a little bit more restricted sometimes. So all in all, that was a big difference as well. And I think that actually impacted me. And I've seen this from other times that I've traveled as well, that when I come back, I am more open and social and might start talking to strangers. And that's not really a part of the Scandinavian culture. So that's interesting.
Yeah, sure. Traveling changes your perception, doesn't it? Like it actually gives you like, I can do this back home, right? So
yes,
I'm really excited to ask you a little bit more, because you're the head of e-commerce. Like, I have a few questions that I've lined up that I think you're the right person to ask. So the first question that I have for you is, what are the top challenges for digital sales in the Swedish B2C telecom sector that you have seen?
Yes, thank you for that question. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of challenges that we're seeing here, but I must also start off by saying that I'm very positive on the plans that we've put together to tackle these challenges, both at Telia and the telco industry as a whole. But to mention a few of these challenges, I think that we need to take this from the customer perspective, because telco products, they're products that you don't buy very often. And there's also, depending on what type of product, there could be different levels of complexities or uncertainties for the customer, such as when you buy a broadband, you need to know what kind of access type you can get, or when you want to buy a TV package, what are the content rights included, or with a mobile phone, you're going to port your number if you're a new customer. So there's a lot of things that a customer need to think about when making such a purchase, and that becomes a challenge because we know that customers tend to buy online when they know what they want, or they know their needs, and that could sometimes be a challenge when trying to sell telco products digitally. We are also, a lot of telcos are old companies with quite complex IT stacks, etc. So that also brings another layer of complexity. So we know that in order to succeed with selling digitally, we need to give our customers a lot of support and assistance when making their purchase.
Yeah.
So I would say that those are the main challenges that we see.
Yeah, it's also good to understand, because when it comes to telecom, there are people coming to the website and there are walk-in customers as well. So my follow-up question would be, how does Telia Sweden approach the website personalization in B2D digital sales? Because you explained there are some digital challenges or digital problems
Yes.
that might be there. How do you approach this?
So I mean, in general, I think that personalization is a really key strategy for us because, as I mentioned before, the customer, uh, they might have very different challenges. They might have quite unique needs, and we have a wide range of products and ways of supporting most customer needs. But the challenge in the digital world is then obviously to make sure that we can guide the customer and give them the right solution for them, right? And hence, website personalization is obviously very important for us because that is our way of really improving the customer experience based on the customer needs. Now, I would also like to mention another thing connected to this. This is obviously that when we work with personalization, we're also working with customer data. And I think it's really important to highlight here that a key part of this strategy is obviously making sure that we have a solid way of taking care of our customers' data and have a solid consent solution, and that we're really keeping our customers' data safe. So I would also really like to highlight that for us. So there are two sides of this. One of it is improving the customer experience, but also doing it in a way that it's very safe and customer friendly.
Yeah. This is something that I want to ask because you know and I know what is website personalization. But for people that
Yes.
are listening to this, if you could explain that in simple words, what is website personalization looking for a customer? Like the difference between an unpersonalized and non-personalized website and then a personalized website. Can you explain this a little bit, please?
Well, this is basically that we make sure that, especially when you're logged in or an authenticated customer on our website, we make sure that you get the right solution for you presented. So basically, the big difference is that instead of getting the generic messages, you get the message adapted to you. And I think that this is something that customers are actually quite used to these days, but maybe they don't think about it. But just thinking about all the different places where you might have an account. For instance, Spotify is doing this really well, where they have personalized playlists. So this is really just translating that into a website world where we try and make sure that you get the relevant recommendations for you.
And you, as the head of head commerce, do you track these data to personalize it even more and like grow that over a period of time?
Yes, I mean obviously this is again like we want to take this from the customer perspective. So this is that we're looking at how can we improve the customer experience all the time and make it more personalized and relevant for you. So obviously we're doing that. Yes.
Brilliant. So now I have third question for you, which is how does e-commerce boost Telia Sweden's omni-channel sales? Because omni-channel is a very common buzzword that we hear these days. How does Telia Sweden do it?
I really like this question because this is a topic very close to my heart, actually. I think that this is really when we take it again from the customer perspective, we know that our customers, they tend to visit multiple channels. And if we look at the online perspective, this is where the most of the customer journeys start. This is where we have a lot of traffic. We know that our customers want to do research online, but they might want to need some assistance when making a purchase. So which is also what I mentioned before. So I think that this is where we, from an e-commerce perspective, we can really help and support our customers here. And Telia, we've been focusing on this for a really long time, and we have some really good initiatives and things in place that is supporting our customers. So as you mentioned in our intro, we are offering video calls to our stores so that when you are in on telia.se and if you might have additional questions or need some extra help, it is very smooth that you can get get support from someone working in the store immediately. What we also have is we know that customers, when they buy online, they want to get instant deliveries. They want to get deliveries quickly. And we also have a very cool initiative, which is called the Store to Home initiative, where we are using our stores and for sending out customer orders quickly, so that in many geographies in Sweden, we can actually send same day deliveries thanks to this initiative. So these are just two examples of how we are sort of making our customer experience consistent and smooth, independent of where you start your journey. That's really where digital can be at the core, because the benefit of a digital channel is obviously that it's always available, no matter where you are or no matter what time of day. So I think that this is really a high potential area and something that we're working a lot on.
Yeah, and the part that you said, like the same day delivery, that's something is very interesting. Like me as a
Yes,
customer, if I can get it the same day, that builds trust for me towards that company, saying that, hey, they deliver me the same day, right? Because other than that, like let's say for other platforms like Amazon, where I have to wait like a week or two, and you solve that problem in a day, that puts you ahead of all the other competitors. That is something that I love. And the second part of this is, which you said is, which is your expertise, is like, what does omni-channel sales when it comes to video looks like? Because that is something that has evolved recently, in the last few years. How does it look like,
yes.
and what are the advantages of that?
It could be challenging then to make a purchase without getting some support from someone. They want to talk to someone basically, and that is what we're solving here. That we are making sure that you can sit at home, completing your purchase, and get the same really high quality support that you could get in a store, but actually accessing it from telia.se. So that is really what the problem that we're solving here.
It is great to see that how Telia is taking customer experience so carefully and importantly, because that is what is going to build the trust within the customers. So I really like the new initiatives that you're bringing into your team and making it happen. And going into customer
Thank you.
experience and building trust, I want to ask something about the future. So, what's the future of e commerce in Swedish telco look like?
Well, I think that the future looks bright. I mean, we know that the digital sales in general in the telco industry has been growing steadily during the past years, and I think that we will continue to grow. I think we will continue seeing more of these omni-channel initiatives and hybrid sales, and really using our digital channels to stitch the full channel experience together. Then we also have really exciting opportunities that we're working on within AI and personalization that I think will really revolutionize the customer experience and make it much easier and better for customers to buy our products online.
Piggybacking on the word AI, because AI is a buzzword and a terminology that every company is using these days. So, let's say another 5 years, do you think, hypothetically, because it's future, do you think, like if I'm a customer of Telia, I can just use AI, voice recognition, or AI recognizes what I need and suggest me personalized product based on my last 5 purchases, and say that, hey, this is for you, and you get this today, you have a special discount, we deliver in the next 6 hours. Is that possible with AI?
I think it's really hard to know what the future will look like in 5 years, because we're seeing such rapid development right now, and I think a lot is happening. I think we're going to see a lot happening already within a year.
Yep.
So hard for me to answer that question, but I mean, obviously, we have a lot of new opportunities to really improve the customer experience here, and we will experiment and make sure that we do use these opportunities in the best way.
Love it. So, you have had a really amazing career, and now you're the head of e-commerce. But this question is like for aspiring head of e-commerce personnel in the future. They want to be a head of e-commerce. What are the three mistakes that you would want them to avoid?
That's a really good question. Thank you for that. So I think that the first mistake that I would sort of make sure to avoid this is, as I think that I've mentioned a little bit previously in this podcast as well, is that it's really important to be on top of what your customers wants and need are, like to keep on top of those customers insights. And the way of doing that in an e-commerce setting is obviously being very good at data analytics and keeping your data neat and always collecting customer insights, both from a qualitative and quantitative perspective, because it is really hard to predict exactly what will be the best and most impactful way of developing your customer experience. So really being on top of your data and your customer insights is really key. So that's the first one. The second one I think is a little bit related to this, and that is when you build an e-commerce, there's a lot of quite a wide range of competencies that need to work together, because we're talking about website design, web analytics, a lot of development, etc. That really needs to come together here. And as a head of e-commerce, I think it's really important to, for one, have a little bit of knowledge in each of these areas, and then also, of course, making sure that you have the right experts and that you really utilize their competencies, because you will not be able to be an expert in all of these areas. But if you have the right experts that you can collaborate with, you can really achieve great things. So that's my second point. And thirdly, I think that the cool thing about working with digital in general is that it's so easy to test. So I would really encourage to do a lot of testing, test everything, and try not always to test. Doesn't always have to be so perfect. You can also try and test things, and it's just to really quickly learn, because it's a really powerful method, and also a really fun method to work with. So I would really encourage to do a lot of testing.
And the part that you said about, get the experts who are really good at what they're doing, it kind of reminded me of what Steve Jobs and Apple said. We hire you not to, take orders from us. We hire you to tell us what to do. So that's the mindset that I see in here. So which also comes to another question. You as a head of e-commerce, you manage a lot of people. So how important is people management skills when it comes to this role?
I think it's very important, of course. I think that, as I said, we really need to make sure that we bring forward our experts, and that they are the ones leading the way, because they have the knowledge. I come from so my leadership has developed in an agile setting, and that's really how I view leadership. So I think that those skills are really important, definitely.
We are almost coming now to the end of our podcast. And I just have to say that you're extremely knowledgeable, well spoken, and your answers are really concise. So, is there something that you want to tell for telco listeners regarding Telia, your expertise, and the evolving field of telecom sector? Is there something that you want to tell our viewers?
I think your questions have been really good. So I do not have so much more to add, but I think I can't emphasize enough to really make sure that, I mean, because building a solid and good customer experience, that is the key. And really the secret behind digital sales is to really approach it in a way that you want to help your customers to shop. And if you think about it in that way, I think you will succeed.
Thank you so much, Ellen. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And to our viewers, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more in-depth discussions on the digital customer experience, drop us a comment below with your thoughts or any questions that you might have for Ellen or our future guests. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating. This is Daniel Paul from Geeks.